forms since then. So I'm glad that this community has grown from 40 people in a room in Washington, DC to thousands around the world. And we've really evolved in that time from, updating people on the latest publications to really, collaborating, co-creating agendas, and I think influencing the sector quite strongly. So with that, I would like to introduce Steve Rasmussen to make opening remarks. Steve is the interim CEO of CGAP, and in that role, he has been a staunch ally and supporter of Finequity. Over to you, Steve.
Thank you very much, Yasmin. I am delighted to be here to help kick off this annual meeting. So on behalf of CGAP, just to echo Yasmin, to welcome everyone. And it's to say it's great to see such a growth in the community that Finequity is. So just to clarify that, so CGAP convenes this Finequity community, and we host the secretariat, as you know, but the community is all of us, and all of us together set the agenda. And there are a lot of ways that the Finequity agenda gets set. There are the annual surveys in the spring, where we try to get your thoughts on what we should do. There are the D groups and events like this that give us insights, give insights to the facilitators. And then, of course, the facilitators speak with many of you throughout the year. All of this feeds into what the agenda becomes, and it really is a community developed and driven agenda. So CGAP has a long history of convening people and providing space for others. I would say Finequity is a particularly important agenda for us, and so we're so delighted with having this role, but also with the size and scope of this community as it's grown. From a CGAP point of view, we're very serious about empowering women to build resilience and capture opportunities. That's what we focus on, and that actually is in our mission statement. That's the summary of what the mission statement is. And so we value the collective wisdom of this group to help us shape our own work and our own agenda. And we're active in a number of things in CGAP on issues like social norms, informal online commerce, which is mostly women doing that. And we use agricultural livelihoods, women in agriculture. There's a number of things that we're focused on. And actually everyone in our leadership has an objective that relates to our commitment on empowering women. So for us, we take this community seriously, and we use it to shape our work. So we'd hope the same thing for you. It's not just about showcasing what you do, but it's also about understanding, internalizing, and taking action on insights. And that's really where we need to focus our attention going forward. So I'm delighted we have this 2 days of putting all of this on the table, deepening our understanding, deepening our relationships, and I hope deepening our commitments to do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. We really appreciate you joining us and for these inspiring opening remarks, and we'll make sure we do that. Much appreciated. I would like to start by sharing the agenda, what we have in store for the sessions, the global sessions today. And then if we can move to, I hope the third slide is the agenda slide, just to give you an idea of how these 2.5 hours are scheduled. We will start with dynamic networking session. We will have a few groups where we can introduce each other and get to know each other a little bit more before we go into content sessions. And if we can move to the agenda, Jenny, 1 to the third slide, that should be. So everybody has a visual of what I'm sharing. Then we will have 3 breakout sessions, concurrent sessions, where our amazing members will share approaches and tools on 3 different themes. And then we'll come back to plenary and we'll have a brief break. So we did build a break in there for today, but maybe 5 to 10 minutes to stretch our legs, and if there's something that we need to do during that time, then we'll come back and we'll have 3 new breakout sessions focused on Finequity's learning themes. And I just want to stop for a second to see if there is a challenge with the slides. If Jenny can hear me, if we can move the slides to the agenda slide. If not,
yeah,
maybe...
I can't hear you. I have it up, so I'm not sure why
you have it up,
displaying.
but I'm not seeing you. Everybody else is seeing the agenda.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I'll stop for a second and try to bring it back up. So
that sounds good. But yeah, we start with networking, then we have 3 breakout sessions. We come back to, and during the networking, we will also want to have a reflections exercise. So please think about what inspires you to continue to do the work that we're doing, and we'll tell you a little bit more about what we have in mind for that session. We have members share sessions, a break, then we come back into small groups to go a little bit deeper into Finequity's learning themes, and then we will come back to have some reflections from the day, key insights, and to tell you about the next steps, what we have in store for you tomorrow. Exactly, that's the agenda slide. So what I just mentioned. So you will have the difficult decision to make which breakout room you would like to join, but don't worry if you want to join all 3 and you can only go to one, that's okay. We will be able to share with you after the meeting everything that was discussed and shared during the other breakout rooms. So that should work well. And before we start, I also wanted to, if we move to the next slide, to let you know who your hosts are today in front and behind the screen. And I'm just going to call out their names. If you don't already know them, you will have a chance to know them today. Antonique, Yasmin, myself, I'm the Finequity facilitator, Katie, Nisha, Jenny, Mariana, Daniel, and Lamis. So these are your hosts, the Finequity and CGAP team. And before we start our networking session, I would like to, on the next slide, remind you of a few tips that we shared as you were joining in. But if you're just joining us right now, we recommend that you have your cameras on at all times if you are able to. But the microphones will be off during these plenary sessions, and we can use our mics during the breakout sessions for best sound quality. Share your name, where you're coming from in the chat, an expectation and goal that you have for the day. And then just to let you know that all of the plenary sessions are recorded. So when we are all together in the same room, that session is recorded. But when we are in concurrent sessions in the breakout rooms, we will not be recording those sessions. With all of that, I think if we move to the next slide, I want to just give you a preview of what we mean when we say networking. We actually mean speed dating. So if you have never done speed dating, this is your chance. What is going to happen, we will all be sent to different breakout rooms. We will be about 4 colleagues in the same room for about 5 minutes. And we can introduce ourselves, say why we are at this meeting, a little bit about the interesting work that we do. We can drop our LinkedIn profiles in the chat so that colleagues can immediately connect with us, and maybe we can have a competition of how many new connections we're making during this event. And then we're going to do 3 rounds of this, so to have an opportunity to meet sort of in person, to meet on the screen as many colleagues as possible during this time. So 3 rounds for about 5 minutes per round, and about 3 to 4 colleagues in a room. And so if we are ready for this, let's get going. And Daniel and Bamzi will make this happen. Thank you so much for indulging us into this speed dating exercise. It was really nice. I have to admit, in some rooms, I already knew some people, and in some rooms, I made new connections. So that was fantastic on my end. I hope you had the same experience, seeing some old colleagues and making new connections. Please continue to drop a link to your LinkedIn profile in the chat. We can keep the networking behind the scenes going through these plenary sessions as well, and we'll have more opportunities in our upcoming breakout sessions. But for now, I would like to invite my colleague Nisha to lead us into a reflection exercise, and also to maybe spotlight Carlota's screen for this portion of the event. Nisha, over to you.
All right, great, everyone. So I think everybody is energized from the networking event. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to ask you to share what inspires or motivates you and us to do the work that we're doing on advancing women's economic empowerment through financial inclusion. We have a graphic harvester who is, going to take our ideas and put them into visuals, and we'll get to see what we co-create together. So in the chat, tell us about what inspires you and what motivates you. And we'll start to read those out. So I'm going to start looking at my chat, and maybe Diana, you want to kick us off?
Thank you, Nisha. Thanks for putting me on the spot. But yeah, I keep thinking about this because as I was in a breakout room, sometimes we're lost in the details of the day-to-day and things like that. But what continues to inspire me is really the determination that I saw in the women entrepreneurs that I worked with in my first job. I don't know if I told you, my first job out of college, I was an accountant. And my first two clients were two women who had market stalls in the farmers market in my hometown. And I was just amazed by how everything that they were doing and how clever and proud and just they were amazing to me. So that is what keeps me going even now, 20 years later.
Okay, so we're getting some responses. So we have reaching potential. I want all girls and women to reach their potential. We cannot wait more than 200 years for gender equality. Definitely cannot wait that long.
The brilliance of the organizers of Roscas, which are savings group-like activities around the world who have addressed all the issues we struggle over. So the brilliance of the organizers of those groups.
Great. Let's see, capturing opportunities to empower women, pushing for equality. The opportunity for poverty reduction is huge, and we need many hands on deck. Yes, we all can do this together.
The struggle of the women we work with is unparalleled. Yes, Radhi, I fully agree with that. They are truly fighters and fighting for their families. And I think that resonates with all of us.
Women's resilience. Looking forward to the day women don't need to be strong, and need is capitalized. I think that's very powerful, Maureen.
To see women leverage their existing capabilities. Thank you, David, for offering that, to handle numbers, to expand them, their future, and gain new ones. And that's, as an accountant to two women entrepreneurs, they were watching their sales and profits very closely. So that super resonates with me. Women work so hard. It's sad to see in a cyclic financial traps that are not beneficial to them. So that's another inspiration.
And when we talk about women, we often narrowly focus on livelihoods, but beyond that, we want to allow women to access financial resources so they can make the choices they want to make. That is so important.
And thank you, Maya, that women's contribution to a more peaceful and equal world. That's what inspires you. That's pretty amazing.
Women have
I really like Tukia's comment. You know, the bottom line is a better life for all, really. And, you know, I think that really speaks to just equality and how, you know, if we want an equal playing field, we need to empower women.
I really like
Katie.
this. If I can, so can other women. I think that's a great message.
Thank you, Evelyn, for that. If I can, so other women can. That's so true.
Bringing dignity to women by simply enabling them to deploy existing capacities and resources. Yes.
Sort of speaks to David's point, really, about sort of superpowering what is there. It's not that women are without capability or capacity. And I think that dignity is such an important word there.
Yeah, shining a light on that.
Yeah, leveling the playing field. Yes, the playing field is unlevel. It has been unequal. We need equity to get to equality. It's very important. Break
stereotypes. Nisha, that's yours.
Yes, there are so many stereotypes holding women back, and we'll talk more about this later. But definitely, what does it mean to be a woman? I think we need to change the definition of that, or what people think about that.
Making systems work for women.
Knowing that by supporting women, we're also helping a family, a community, and as a consequence, have a better society. Yes, that's great.
That's fantastic. Keep them coming. Maybe a couple more that we can read out, Nisha, and then
sure.
With this inspiration, we can switch gears to the next portion of our agenda.
Okay, so women are the driving power of rural communities and rural households, but realistically, women work so much harder and gain much less of the profits in many places because of gender barriers. So we need to level the playing field so that their unpaid care work is recognized.
And maybe we can read out the last one from Barbara. Thank you, Barbara. Getting beyond having women thought as only vulnerable. Fully agreed with that. They are fully capable. They have everything inherently. It's more the opportunities and fighting for gender equity, as we all do. It's quite the inspiration. So thank you all so much for your contributions. Please keep them coming in the chat. Our colleague Carlota will add to this beautiful illustration, and at the end of the meeting, we'll have this wonderful inspiration board to carry with us as we switch gears to our daily tasks and keep the inspiration going. Thank you so much. And Nisha, maybe you can walk us through how to get to the next portion, and then Jenny, if you please share your screen again so we can have that slide on with what's coming next.
All right, so we're switching now. So next we're going into 3 very exciting breakout discussions. We have 3 rooms of member-led discussions. Hopefully all of you had a chance to watch the great videos that our members submitted showcasing their work, and now we're going to discuss them in 3 different groups. The first one is on gender-informed design for digital financial services and digital financial literacy. That's room 1. Room 2 is gender analysis tools and how to translate insights into practice. And room 3 is about gender balanced workforces and women's leadership in the financial services sector. So if you can indicate by renaming yourself which room you want to go to, my colleague Daniel can help you. If you have a newer version of Zoom, you'll actually be able to see the breakout rooms where it's on the screen, you see a little more with a circle. So if you go into your Zoom and look for the breakout rooms tab, you'll see room 1, room 2, room 3, and you can join one of those rooms. based on the topic you're interested in. And if you don't have the ability to figure out which room, just rename yourself. And if that is not working, then just in the chat, you can say which room or just stay back and my colleagues Daniel and Bamsi will put you in the room. So with that, Daniel, are we ready to open the rooms for those who are able to join?
I'm going to check how many cameras we have back online now to get the vibe. I see Dion. Hello, Dion. I'm so glad you're here. All right. Great. Well, no doubt people are still putting their coffee mugs up to their lips, but I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I hope everyone had a good break. In this next portion of the agenda, we will split out into breakout rooms on Finequity's 3 learning themes. If you don't have the latest version of Zoom, please do as you did previously, where you will put the name of the breakout rooms in front of your names. So the Finequity learning themes are the 3 buckets where our members have the most frequent and most pressing inquiries. And the Finequity team regularly assesses member areas of interest through coordinated stakeholder interview initiatives, bilateral conversations, and of course, monitoring what is happening on D groups and during our webinars. And of course, during annual meetings such as this one, we get to keep our finger on the pulse of things. So I'll say a few words about each learning theme before we open the breakout rooms. And I'm sure my colleagues will soon have the slides up, which will indicate the names of the breakout rooms and who will be leading each one. I'm going to keep talking while they get that up, just to keep the ball rolling. So the Impact Pathways theme is led by Jenny Morgan and focuses on measuring how and if women are more economically empowered when using financial services. And there are 3 tracks of this theme, and I'm just going to share with you the objectives of each of these sub-tracks. The first is building understanding of how and when financial products and services improve different segments of female customers' resilience. The second objective is promoting incorporation of women's economic empowerment metrics into Finequity member work by identifying and testing a core set of empowerment indicators relevant for financial inclusion, harmonizing definition, and curating tools for data collection and analysis. And many of you have told us how helpful you found the mapping that Finequity did of women's empowerment frameworks. And if you haven't checked that out, I strongly encourage that you do. Finally, the third objective is supporting integration of gender analysis by sharing gender analysis tools, approaches, and examples. And here I'd like to call out Finequity's data brief, which we published to highlight the use of gender data. The second learning theme, as you can see on your screen, Gender Transformative Solutions, is led by Nisha Singh. It focuses on creating more equitable financial systems. And this learning theme is where Finequity's Social Norms Collaborative Learning Group sits. That's a new initiative that we're very proud of. And additionally, because meeting women's financial needs requires developing more nuanced understanding of their preferences and behaviors, this learning theme shares various segmentation tools and approaches highlighted in this past year through our conversations with financial service providers. Looking ahead, to incentivize more financial service providers to proactively focus on women as clients, under this learning theme, Finequity is curating tools, resources, and examples of creating a gender-balanced workforce. This is something that we'll hear more about going forward and that we're looking forward to. Now, last but not least, the digitally enabled financial inclusion theme is led by Katie Hyatt, with the goal of refocusing digital financial services on individual women. understanding how products and services affect them. Now, many of you will recall the Digital Financial Literacy Synthesis Finequity published, born of community inputs. And in the pipeline are a series of design case studies, highlighting the crucial role of design across the customer journey. Going forward, we're going to be looking at heuristics. I hope I pronounced that word correctly. It's a new one, even for me. I don't know how many of you have heard the term before. It's looking at mental hacks and why we should be thinking about them in women's financial inclusion. So I'm not sure if the next slide has the breakout room instructions. Yes, fantastic. So with that, Daniel will be opening the breakout rooms. Thematic leads, I just want to remind you that we'll have to keep to time. And for those of you who are able, please go ahead and self-select to your room preferences. If you're not, as a reminder, please put your room preference in front of your name settings, or you can drop it in the chat if it's too complicated for you. Many thanks to Daniel and Bamsi for so expertly moving things around behind the scenes. See you in the breakout rooms.
And welcome back to the main room. And thank you, Jenny, for juggling so many different elements, from leading a breakout room to sharing your screen again. But for this last portion of our program, I would like to hand it over to Antonique to lead us through some key takeaways, insights, and then I will spend half a minute just closing and discussing next steps after that. So thank you, Antonique. The floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Diana. And I'm really thrilled to be part of this really vibrant community. I mean, the sessions were just very enriching, very thoughtful, lots of exchanges, lots of sharing. And I thought it really reflected the passion and the inspiration that all of you shared at the beginning of this session in terms of why we're actually doing what we're doing. And certainly I learned a lot. I think if I have to take one key takeaway out of this session, and it is, of course, not a new one, but we have to engage men. The sessions that I was involved in revolved a lot around gender norms, something that I think we all care about and we all recognize is important to tackle. And we have to do so with all the actors in the financial system, but certainly not forget engaging the men. I think we're all clearly working together on building a more equitable financial system by addressing some of these gender norms and also facilitating women's social, economic, and digital inclusion. And I think, Katie, in your session, a lot of talk and good ideas about that came up. One thing that I'm particularly encouraged by in this community is that we're all thinking about how can we do better in measuring women's economic empowerment, and particularly how financial services access or our financial inclusion is actually adding up to this women's economic empowerment. And measuring what matters is key if we want to really make a difference. I'd like to also take this opportunity actually at this annual meeting to recognize and thank my fellow advisors on the Finequity Technical Advisory Committee that we started off at the beginning of 2021. These people have been fantastic in terms of providing their support, their thoughtful ideas, and their commitment to thriving and making this community thrive even more. So I just wanted to call on a few of them in person and via video to share some thoughts. And I'll start with Joanna Ledgerwood, who's one of the Technical Advisory Committee advisors who's actually present at the meeting today. Joanna, one key takeaway from you from the discussions that you've engaged in today's meeting.
Joanna, could you unmute yourself?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. It kept telling me the host is not allowing participants to unmute themselves, so I wasn't sure what I was going to do. Thanks very much, Antonique. And I want to just start by repeating something that Steve said at the beginning, which I thought was really important about Finequity not only being a place to showcase our work, but really providing this platform for learning and in order to really share with each other and have these discussions so that we can really make a difference. So I really want to thank Finequity for providing this space. I think it's been fantastic. So I was in group 2, which was about conducting the gender analysis. So my one takeaway is coming from that, primarily from that breakout group. And I was really struck, and Antonique, you already mentioned this about gender norms, but I really was struck by how often gender norms came up when people were talking about gender analysis. So I think very quickly when you're conducting gender analysis, you very quickly determine or find out that it's all about gender norms. And I noticed in Gurmeen's presentation, they spoke about the restricted mobility of women and also time constraints. And of course, both of these are very much because of gender norms. Kara spoke about women being overwhelmed by household duties, and that one of their interventions was to create outreach campaigns to encourage men to take on more of the household duties, which did come up, Antonique, I would agree, in terms of engaging men. But, and so many of the comments kept coming back to gender norms. So my key takeaway is that we really need to be serious about really trying to understand these gender norms as kind of the root causes for why women are not included as much as men or not included at all. And just to also think about whether or not it's even appropriate to change these norms, and if so, how we might do that. And then just lastly, a kind of a separate key takeaway was I think looking at empowerment is fundamental. That's why we're doing what we're doing. But I'm not completely sure we're there yet in terms of understanding how to measure empowerment. So I really look forward to more discussions about both norms and measuring empowerment at the end of the day, ultimately. So thank you. It was a
Thanks very much, Joanna. And of course, the last topic is really the core of the agenda for the Impact Pathways learning team. So Jenny has her work cut out for her and the people working together. One other highlight that I wanted to share is from Carolina Truvelli, another advisor in the committee, who's actually one of the co-organizers of the regional session for Latin America and the Caribbean that happens tomorrow. And she shared in advance of the meeting that she actually has a wish for the next annual meeting. She hopes that the regional communities in Africa, Asia and Latin America will all thrive throughout 2022, and that we actually at the end of next year in our annual meeting will have a true inter-regional dialogue between the 3 communities. And that is a wish that she has for the next year, and I hope that the community can work towards that. One other advisor sent us a call to action. Nandini, Harishwara, sent us a call to action, and we have a little video of 1 minute from her that I'd like to share now, if that's possible. Jenny, could you launch the video, please? We're held in suspense. Let's see if the video can play, and otherwise I can share the message.
Possible the graphic, Carlotta will have to stop. There we go. Just need sound.
Maybe Jenny, unmute your own. Try that. Yes. Oh. Ah, Nandini is here.
I think actually Nandini is in the meeting. Can we hear Nandini live? Because I don't think the video is working, and she's here live. Okay. So let's move to the real time if we can. Nandini, can you unmute yourself, please? Nandini?
Everyone.
Yes.
Hi, sorry.
There you are.
I was told I only had 1 minute, so I did a video to make sure I came within 1 minute. But anyways, So thank you to Antonique and to Finequity for this fabulous coming together every year. As I've said to Antonique and her team many times, I love Finequity. When I was asked what my one thought would be, parting thought for all of us, I thought about this article that has come out recently from Alice Evans, who's one of my favorite feminist authors, which is The Foundation of Feminism is Friendship. And after many, many discussions with many of my colleagues within my organization and outside of my organization, I find that sometimes being a gender focal point or a gender lead can be a little bit of a lonely proposition, lonely job. And so my call to action for like all of the amazing members and friends of Finequity is to reach out and have a virtual coffee, or if you're lucky, a real coffee with someone that maybe is a fellow gender focal point, or if you're not a gender focal point, especially someone that's your gender focal point, and maybe ask them, how are they doing? Or what can you do to help them? I know at a minimum, it'll make their day, but actually in force, if we all kind of do this together, is hopefully, Joanna just talked about, we're a long ways from achieving some of the goals that we have as a community. So it's a long path that we have to walk, but at least if we know we're walking together with more people and we're not alone, especially within our own organizations and what we're trying to do, then maybe it makes the walk a little less heavy and your step is a little lighter. And so my hope is that, if at least a few of us do this into 2022, our steps towards gender equality will be a little lighter and a little easier. So those were my parting thoughts, longer than 1 minute. Sorry, Antonique and Diana. Thank you very much for bringing us all together every year. It's very, very important.
Thank you very much, Nandini, for this call to action and an expression of friendship, which I think we all feel, and some of us already said we'd love to be together again next year, if at all possible. But with these words from Nandini as well, I think I just want to emphasize again that this is your community. We're all in it together. And if we walk together, as she said, hopefully our journey will be lighter and we can get further and be more impactful. So show up, engage, share, and learn and influence all together. I think that would be my wish for the coming year again. And really try to see how together we can continue to push the envelope and achieve our collective vision of empowering women through financial inclusion. I'd like to thank all the members that have engaged, that have participated, everyone who's created member share videos and joined us for the sessions today, people who contributed to the thematic sessions. I think, as Nisha was just saying in our session, she's got a lot of work with all the follow-up and all the great ideas that have come up. So that's fantastic. I also want to emphasize that the regional sessions that Diana will just in a moment still refer to, our co-hosts have done a fantastic job, BRAC and UNCDF in Asia, a whole host of leaders, female women leaders in Latin America and the Caribbean, led by Mariana, and then also FSD Africa and the Graça Machel Trust in Sub-Saharan Africa. So all of these organizations have done a phenomenal job, and we want to continue the journey with all of you. And let me finalize by just thanking our team, Finequity and CGAP colleagues. You've done a phenomenal job again to bring us all together, to organize us, to give this space to everyone to engage and learn and be friends with one another. So thank you very much. Over to you again, Diana.
Thank you so much, Antonique. What a great way to close the global sessions of our annual meeting. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we have 3 more regional sessions in store for you. The first one is our Asia Pacific regional session that will be at 9:30 a.m. Delhi time, which is 10 a.m. in Dhaka, 11 a.m. in Jakarta. For that session, you can use the same Zoom link that you used today to join. The Africa regional session will take place tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Again, please use the same link that you used today to join. And finally, our regional chapter in Latin America and the Caribbean will hold their annual session tomorrow as well, starting at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And that is a session that will take place only in Spanish and it requires separate registration, as you can see on the screen. And I'm hoping that my colleagues can also drop these links in the chat. But they are all on our website, so fear not, you can easily find them. And before we close, thank you so much for joining. If you can turn on your camera for a group picture, and I have a colleague who is doing that behind the scenes, so we can stop sharing the screen, and if people can turn on their cameras and give us their biggest smile, energized after these 2.5 hours together, that would be fantastic. And while we take our picture, smiling with cameras on, just to let you know that we have a brief evaluation survey that will pop up on your screen as you exit the meeting. And we are ever so grateful if you can let us know how we did today. So cameras on. 1, 2, 3, smile. Wave. One more time. 1, 2, 3, smile and wave. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much. And we see you soon for our Asia Pacific session if you can join us. If not, for the other 2 regional sessions. Thank you so much.